The question of coronavirus is no longer an issue for the government or authorities, but an issue that concerns all of us, you and I. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being there for today's edition of Viewpoint. Viewpoint, whenever it is 6:30, we exchange views with our guests who are here in the studio and you out there. Permit me welcome those who are here. They are not new. They have been with us for some time. We have Mr. Mbacham Gideon. He's a pedagogic inspector. Good evening, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Good evening, Venetians, and thank you for inviting me once more to share on this topic on your television channel.
Thank you. It is a topic that concerns everybody, like we said. Accompanying Mr. Mbacham, we have Mr. Kum Jerum. Mr. Kum Jerum is a teacher. Good evening, sir. Thank you for being there.
Good evening, Mr. Venetius. Good evening, televiewers. I thank you once more for inviting me to be part of your program today to talk about coronavirus, which is one of the greatest threats to our own health today.
Actually, it is a threat to our own health, and to even say a threat to our existence. That is why we want to look at issues surrounding our health concerning coronavirus. Let us take part one of the program. We begin with question one. Mr. Kum, I begin with you. Can the respect of barrier measures be possible during holidays?
Among the pupils and students, yes, to an extent.
Mr. Kum thinks that it is, it can be respected to a certain extent. Mr. Mbacham, what do you think? Can it be respected during holidays?
I'm sorry, my answer is no, it can't.
So, Mr. Mbacham thinks that no, it cannot be respected during holidays. Mr. Mbacham, I remain with you. Are there particular tasks expected from parents during this period of break?
Thank you, Venetius. Certainly, there are a number of tasks expected from parents, and obviously, most of them will not live up to the expectations of those tasks.
So there are tasks and parents will not live up to it.
Yes, and that's why I say no.
Of course, okay. We take Mr. Kum. Mr. Kum, are there particular tasks for parents during this period of holidays?
Yes, of course, there are a lot of tasks and assignment, homework that the parents are supposed to carry out within this period of holidays.
Okay. Now, let's go to part two of the program, where in the discussion, we are going to hear them out. If you are just joining us, you're watching Viewpoint on DBS television, and we are equally going live on our Facebook page on the address that you have on your screen. Students and pupils are on the break, practically 10 days, to go away from bookwork and then resume after 10 days. During this period, the respect of barrier measures has, we are thinking that it could be a problem for parents, since the rules that bind them in schools will no longer be followed at home. That is why in today's edition of the program, we are trying to find out if the respect of these barrier measures will be possible during holidays. I begin with Mr. Mbacham, who thinks, he is a pedagogic inspector. He thinks that the respect of these barrier measures will not be possible. Mr. Mbacham, can we get you?
Thank you, Venetius. My earlier yes or no answer, my part was no.
Yes.
And it's obvious. Now, let me just start by, refreshing our minds with this. In this town, in particular, and the country as a whole, majority of parents, they live below the breadline level.
Yes.
The poverty stricken.
Yes.
If I'm to be very moderate, I rate it at around something like 80%.
Yes.
So much so that any break from purely academic or pedagogic work that is given to the kids, the parents sees it as an advantage to involve the kids in their activities that they exercise on a daily basis to search for revenue. That is selling like hawkers in the markets, and so on and so forth. So you see that already with that excessive mingling with people in public does not, go a long way to enhance what the state puts in place as barrier measures in the fight against COVID-19. 80% of our students, even right now before we close tomorrow, they are selling in all the markets and all the streets of all the major towns. So, with that, students who ought to be at home, they are on the streets and the markets selling.
Mr. Bacham, we are raising an issue here where in most schools, like you would understand, or like you would, affirm, is that the rule is if you are not putting on a face mask, you won't enter the campus. Now, back home, parents are not that, demanding. Would parents be able to also tell their children that if you are not putting on a face mask, you are not leaving this house today? That is what we are finding out. Would it be possible?
I was coming to that.
Okay.
Is that you emphasize on holidays?
Actually, that's during holidays.
You emphasize on holiday.
Yes.
But now what you're talking about, what operates during the school time?
No, what I mean here is during school period, schools insist that those who don't have face masks won't enter. Now they will no longer be in school, which means that insistence won't hold again for them.
Certainly.
Now they will be at home.
Certainly.
Will their parents now be that demanding, like the schools, to insist that if you don't have a face mask, you are not leaving this house today?
Certainly no. Already
Correct.
what I told you about what I started developing,
Yes.
The kids will just leave the morning anyhow. The emphasis is laid on maybe you went out with probably oranges that were bought for, I don't know, let me say 1,500 francs.
Have you sold them
The
all?
interest is that you come
Did you
back.
sell them?
Yeah, not just selling.
Yeah.
You sold them,
Yes.
and you came back probably with 2,000 francs. That is a 500 francs
Increase.
increase, which is the
interest.
profit or the gain.
Yes.
Well, hoping that child left the house to the market and came back without paying taxi. So you already see that there concerning COVID-19, the center of what is supposed to be the focus as far as the fight against that at the level of the parents seriously displaced. That is not all. You know that most parents, before now, I'm actually talking about before now, it's still in line with what I was saying. There have been rumors that they were going to cancel the school year again in this month of March, so that they run away from paying the fees.
Yes.
Since it is not happening, you get now and again that insistence, that aspect of insisting on the fact that they must look for money at all cost. So the face mask you just asked about during the school period, yes, since it is a prerequisite to enter a campus, the parents have no choice but going to the market, going out for whatsoever, and they don't give them for free. They don't give face mask for free. The cheapest ones, to the best of my knowledge, they cost 200 francs. And you can use it for 2-3 days maximum. If you take in a week, in a month, how many parents are first of all able to afford that? Secondly, are willing to sacrifice. So you see that in an all-round manner, everything centers around a lot of economic calculation. And parents, for the most part, being poor parents, they have no choice. They have no choice. They'll go for what is cheaper, while minimizing the long-term health hazard or consequences. That's why I said my answer, as far as I'm concerned, is a practical no. And just to learn before probably you give the floor to my colleague, in the quarters, parents are so busy searching for money that they are hardly at home.
Parents who have abdicated their role.
Yes, they have abdicated their role. Now, when the kids go playing in the quarters, when the kids go, intermingling, they mingle with each other. The parents are not there to control. That's during the holiday. Before I came here this evening, I left my quarter. Kids were playing outside. I didn't see anyone with a face mask. With a face mask.
Okay. That is it.
We are insisting on face mask. I have not talked about water, washing of hands, where in most cases they need to buy the water first, the savon, before going to the gel.
Yes.
To the
hand sanitizers. Yes.
The hand sanitizers.
Yes.
They need to buy all of that with money, which in this case even though important, becomes a luxury rather than a necessity.
Okay.
To parents who cannot, first of all, afford food for their children. So you understand me, Power Venatius.
Thank you, Mr. Bacha. From every indication, parents have an uphill task, which Mr. Kum thinks that it is possible. Mr. Kum, if you listen to what Mr. Bacham is saying, you will realize that parents who do not even respect these barrier measures, parents who do not even wear this face mask, do you think that they will insist on their children to wear the face mask during holidays? You say yes to an extent.
Mr. Venatius, we're talking about health.
Yes.
We're talking about an emergency, an urgency, something that is not optional. It is compulsory. Now, I have listened to the inspector talk about the economic hardship of most parents, where the children will be going about doing some things in order to support their homes and the family. That is true with the case of most developing countries. Let me not just talk of Douala or Cameroon. But it is the responsibility of this parent to educate and properly school them on the necessity to adopt these barrier measures, which are social distancing, wearing of the masks, and avoiding large crowds. It is a necessity and not an option. And if they open at their television set or channels, you can't go through a day without getting information concerning this COVID.
Yeah, of course.
It is a global pandemic, and I believe that parents do have an upper hand, because there are two people in life that you must respect to the utmost.
Yes.
Apart from God, your parent and your teachers. And I, as a pedagogue, the instructions and education which I believe must have passed through the student and the pupils, they have to carry it and show proof of it now in the quarters. And the parents are there to help us reinforce some of these things we have taught the student in school. Like in school, we tell them this pandemic is real, and this is how it is being transmitted. This is how it's being transmitted.
And
it's not different from cholera. It's not different from cholera or other sanitary diseases. That we school them. You won't tell me that a parent, maybe we are unable to buy Tangi water, will be advising the children that, no, drink well water. You know that when you drink the well water, you will have
the cholera.
Yes.
Yes.
Same as going out without a mask. A mask can be afforded for 100 francs. Tell us. They can do it for 100 francs, and then you use it. Health above all, because parents and others, they are working for the well-being of these children
yes,
who are the possible successor. The relay button is supposed to be handed to somebody. And so the person should be sent as a priority in our quest for everything, money or whatsoever. Why? What he's saying is to an extent. That's why I said to an extent.
Yes.
It's to an extent true, because some people have put on this search for money, material things, and even forgetting the real things that are supposed to be done, like taking care of themselves and their children, because these children are actually the one to carry on. Like, that is what will be handed down to them. That's what made me to say money, Mr. Venatius, is not an issue in this issue.
Because it concerns health.
Yes. When it comes to health, there is nothing that is more than taking care of your health.
That is true. Mr. Kum, we are talking about norms, what should be, and the reality, what is.
Yes.
What is the situation on the ground?
This situation on ground, Mr. Venatius, is when I used to be in the village, he said, don't go out at night. It doesn't mean that if I go out at night, something will happen. That's why I'm talking. We are an emergency, state of emergency. Please, Loretta, Elvis, you are not longer doing what you used to do, because if you do it, you are going to bring this COVID-19
to this house, yes,
and all of us
will be contaminated.
Stand a risk to be contaminated.
Yes.
Now we are going to be eating one banana instead of two, and we see how we go through until the pandemic gives us way. You will have to bear with me in that regard. The parent, there are two people here, Mr. Venatius. When your teacher talks to you, you bow down. A God is talking to you. When your father and your mother, they talk to you, you must respect. So I believe that they have the tax, the barrier measures can be respected with the help of the parent. If at all they are responsible, because equally we have irresponsible parents whose role is only to bring forth these children without even caring or just exposing them to the risks of nature.
And that's why I was asking the question, Mr. Kum. Parents who do not respect these barrier measures, would they have the ground enough to stand and ask their children to respect them?
It's impossible.
Correct.
It's impossible because children learn from parents and from teachers.
Yes.
Now, you don't respect it. What do you expect from your child? Your child will even say, oh, mom is doing it. I too will
do it.
Do it. Because we have this, degrading moral culture that is happening in Africa because the youngsters have copied it from the parent who are copying, nasty lifestyles from the Westerners, and the youngster are moving bare body with everything. That one is just translated from mother to child. Whereas our parents, they never used to be like that.
Okay.
So, Mr. Vena, it is possible to, adopt these barrier measures, close the doors to COVID-19, because there will be more in closed doors.
Yes.
In school, it is difficult to control children from different backgrounds. Because as you have a class, you have people from the east, west, north,
all of them. Yes.
And then to control them, you can use the psychological and pedagogic approaches to make them to learn under an atmosphere where nobody will be discriminated upon. But to go in now to the individual behavior, there will be very stubborn one. There will be those that are extrovert, introvert, but at home, I am your mom, I am your dad. You respect
give what should happen here.
Yes. It is supposed to be like this or nothing else.
Yes.
So it is possible that the father take your face mark. You take. I don't want to come and see anybody leave this house. We are struggling for you. Elders, child of the house, take note of. You give the instructions and it will be followed, Mr. Venatius. It's
give
possible.
The instructions and they will be followed. Mr. Bacham, I come back to you. We are taking question 2 to ask this particular task, this particular assignment that you will think that they are reserved for parents. Remember, these children, they are already on break and they are no longer under the guide or or the supervision of the teachers. They are now under the supervision of the parent. Their particular task during this period.
Thank you very much. I didn't want to cut my learned colleague when he was talking.
Yes.
Because his intervention to me showed that he was missing the point.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes.
Because the topic was, can it be possible?
Yes. Can the respect of barrier measures be possible during the whole days?
I'm coming to this one.
Yes.
Now, he was giving what the parents are supposed to do, from what I understood, for it to be possible.
Yes.
Whereas I said that from a general observation,
it is not possible.
It is not possible.
Yes.
That's
and that's why I was asking the question of the norms, what should be done, and the reality on the ground.
Yes, I'm coming.
Yes.
That is where maybe I jump in now to start supporting what he was saying.
Yes.
What should be done? The parents need to be made to assume the responsibility of parents at all costs. I mean, that one is not optional now, because this is where I line up behind him 100%. Let me just make a bit of flashback before I continue. When you go to the entrance of schools, if you see that out of all the students who are entering the campus, take it at any level, if they have to drive some for lack of face mask, it is an indication that that parent did not take it serious. If not, he is not supposed to be forced to look for one for the child or give money to the child to get one. So that is an irresponsible act on the part of the parent. First thing, the child needs, in addition to the face mask, to have a hand sanitizer. Those things, I don't want to call any name here in order not to give it undue publicity on your platform. But I think there are average ones for maybe 500 francs. That child should have it. The parents need to educate the students and the pupils that should avoid handshakes as much as possible.
Yes.
It's unfortunate we still see some kids even hugging.
Embracing.
Yes.
Yes.
Their friends. The parents need to make sure that, contrary to what used to obtain, it is preferable for the kids probably to leave their houses with what they can eat in order to avoid much contact with people as much as possible, or consuming food or drinks. When I say drinks here, it may be the yaourt,
their snacks,
snacks whatsoever.
Yes,
that are manipulated by hands that they are not sure
of the hygienic condition. Yes,
the hygienic conditions.
Yes.
So those are some of the things parents need to do. And as if that is not enough, this one, though let's face facts, a little bit difficult, parents should control the way the children relate with their peers in the quarters during this period of the holidays. That one, is the ideal, but at the same time, let's admit that it is very, very difficult, if not impossible, because it would appear that parents should stay away from their job sites to be behind the kids, which is not possible.
Mr. Kum said you are the father and you give what should be in this house. Can parents not tell their children that I don't want to see you leave this compound today, I'm coming back to get the feedback? Would that work?
We are all parents on this set. We are all parents.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not,
yes.
Once you give out instructions, even at the job site, if the person who is responsible for executing,
yes,
like executing one that he or she does not like to execute, if he or she knows that nothing will be done, that person
would not
the option is that he or she will not execute that instruction. It is the same at the level of the house. The parent says this. Who ensures the follow-up when the parent is not there?
All of them are out.
All of them are out.
Yes.
So your guess as far as what follows may just be as good as mine. So at that level, the poor parent cannot say that they have failed, but it's like asking them to do the impossible at that present moment.
Okay, Mr. Bacham, I still want to come back on this issue of, because we say, Mr. Kum said, children copy from what their parents do. A parent who leaves the house without a face mask, without a hand sanitizer, do you think that parent, what type of example is the parent giving to their child?
Pavina, that's another horrible aspect of it. Is that when we started our program, the focus was on the kids. We say, as they say in French, l'exemple vient d'en haut.
Yes.
That example is a poor one in this context. Just go to the streets. I mean, here, around. They are there drinking. Thank God here in the studio we are at least
1 meter,
even a little bit more apart. But go to the street just outside there. The parents are drinking. Go to the market. They are selling there. Go to anywhere where there is public gathering. They are there. No face mask, no barrier measure, nothing. So the children will naturally just copy from there, and you can imagine what the spillover effect is.
Actually, the spillover effect will be actually very catastrophic, because we are facing a pandemic, a virus that is spreading. Like somebody said, Mr. Kum, we are the people moving with the virus. The virus does not move.
It doesn't move.
That is why, like a teacher wanted you to talk to our parent, because Mr. Bacham said it is a kind of bad example that they are giving to their younger ones. You would do the work in school by inculcating into their mind the values of respecting these barrier measures, and the parents come at home and shatter the whole thing by the way they do it. If you were to talk to this parent who are watching us this evening, what would you tell them in regard to the respect of these barrier measures?
Yes, as to parent, I want to make first of all, let them understand that the first teacher to any human being is the parent, the father or the mother. So as a father or a mother to a child, you have to take up the first responsibility, because you brought this child to this earth in order to give him or her a befitting and outstanding future. And this can only be possible when the health, psychological and physical need of the child are being met. And I want to say this, Mr. Venatius, it may be a little bit out of context.
Go ahead.
Why is it so difficult to control the children is because in Africa and in Cameroon is something I have studied. Your means permit you to give birth to 2 children, but yet you have 12 children. This one caused a problem. It is a big problem, Mr. Venatius. Your means permit you to give birth to maybe 1 or 2 children, but at the end you have 12 children,
Yes.
you will not be able to adequately bring up these children to the desired
give them the
level,
necessary formation they need.
the necessary training and formation they need.
Yes.
The means to train them and provide for them, so much so that they will be comfortable to an average level. This attitude should be stopped and eliminated. We are not saying that we should copy the Western style.
Yes.
If you have means enough to give birth to a football stadium,
Give birth.
give birth,
Yes.
especially in the legal channel.
Yes.
But if you don't have means, my brother,
Yes. Leave it.
my sister, leave it. Give birth to your one child, and you do with it that way. This will reduce a lot of, the hazard and consequences we
and
are
the
facing
pressure.
and the pressure, because many people die of what? Stress.
Yes.
Stress, Mr. Vinicius, pressure, and other things. Because when you have about 3 children, you yourself, you have not even eaten in the morning, but you have people around you
Who want
that
to
they
eat.
want to eat. Yes.
Okay.
It is frustrating, and
Thank you, Mr. Kum. We are not laughing because the point you are saying doesn't make sense. We are laughing because the reality on the ground is you really see those who have the means instead in our society, they have 2, 3 children. But those who don't have the means, they have 7, 8, and 9. That is the irregularity that we experience in our society. Thank you so much, Mr. Kum. Mr. Bacham, we are going out for want of time. You are a teacher par excellence. Talk to your students who are already on break. What would you tell them in the less than 1 minute for respect of barrier measures? Time is against us.
Thank you for the students, my dear students. Please implement what the school authorities insist on that you do is for your health. And to the parents, I wish to plead that the same time that we took to look for the kids, let's also sacrifice a bit of time out of our busy schedule to take care of them.
Thank you so much. That is a pedagogic inspector talking to the students, talking to the pupils and students and parents who are at home during this holiday period. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we call it a day in today's edition of the program. Up next, we are going to have the news in the English language with Cynthia Ngwemo. Until we meet again, have a blessed evening and goodbye.